Hi boys and girls, it's Mrs. Rogula. Today is Wednesday, May 6th, and I'm so happy that you've joined me again for a Circle Time video. Hello, 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 and how are you? I'm fine, and I hope that you are too. Let's see who's here today. See if you can find your name and see if you recognize your friends' names and say hello. Hello, Kieran. Hi, Elle. Hello, Henry. Hi, Johnny. Hello, NJ. Hi, Kellen. Hi, Braxton. Hello, Isabel. Hi, Petey. Hi, Bear. Hi, Sam Murphy. Hi, Annabelle. Hi, Savannah. Hi, Sam D. Hi, Madeline. And hello, Theo. All right, I hope everybody has a chance to watch. Guess what we're going to talk about today? We're talking about another farm animal. I'll give you some clues. It has lots of fluffy wool. It makes a noise like bah, bah. And it usually roams free on the farm. Do you know what animal I'm talking about? Did you guess sheep? If you did, you're right. We're talking about sheep today because lots of farms have lots of sheep. Do you know what a sheep's job is on the farm? A sheep's job is to grow wool. That big fluffy coat that they have of wool, it's like their hair. Their job is to grow their hair. Can you grow your hair? That's a pretty good job, isn't it? They grow the wool, and once a year, usually in the spring, the farmer comes and they shave the sheep. It's called shearing. They shear the sheep, and they do that once in the spring with clippers that look like this. These are the same kinds of clippers we use to cut our hair, usually the boys' and daddy's hair, or it could be dog clippers. Sometimes if your dog goes to the groomer, they might use these kinds of clippers to shave your dog. So these are the clippers they use to shave the sheep. It doesn't hurt the sheep. Look, I can put them right on my hands. It doesn't hurt the sheep, just like it doesn't hurt to get a haircut, right? But it takes all that wool off, and then they use that wool. First, they have to wash it, and then they do something called combing it, because they have to get it into those long strands like yarn. And they card it, they wrap it around card, and then they spin it on a loom, and they turn it into the thread or into the yarn, and we make all sorts of things from that wool. Can you name 5 things that are made from wool? I'm gonna give you a couple seconds to think. What are 5 things that are made from wool? I bet someone said a hat. Did you know that hats, like knit hats like this, are made from wool? Can you think of something else that could be made from wool? A lot of times it's things to keep us warm because wool is very warm. Did anybody say a scarf? A scarf could be made from wool. Did anybody say a sweater? Sweaters can be made from wool. Did anybody say socks to keep our feet warm? Socks can be made from wool. Did anybody say a blanket. I don't have a blanket to show you, but you can have wool blankets. You can have wool rugs. You can have wool pants. You can have wool jackets. So wool is used a lot to help make things that keep us warm. There's lots and lots of uses for wool. So it's very important that our farmers raise the sheep to make the wool. The sheep live on the farm. I'm going to show you some pictures. Here is the boy sheep or the daddy sheep, and he is called a ram. And we can tell he's the boy because he's got big horns, big hard horns. So that's the daddy sheep, the ram. And next we have the mama sheep. She's called a ewe. It's E-W-E is how you spell it, but it sounds just like the letter U. And then the baby sheep. Do you know what the baby sheep is called? Right, a lamb. A baby sheep is called a lamb. And they all live together, and usually lots of sheep live together. Do you know what that's called when they all live together in a big group? A big group of sheep is called a flock or a herd. Either one is right. But a flock of sheep is usually how I hear it. And usually they roam free in the grassland or the pasture of the farm because they eat all the grass. And then once a year, in the springtime, when it's time for them to get their hair cut, get sheared, they have to be rounded up and herded back to the farm and into a pen so the farmer can catch them to give them their haircut. And a lot of times they use dogs to help them round up the sheep, or people have to go round up the sheep. It's kind of a process sometimes to get all those sheep to move in the same direction and get into the barnyard. And then after they shear the sheep and they take all that fluffy wool off, this is what they look like. See, they don't have their coats on, do they? We're gonna read a story in a little bit. Do you think they get cold without their coats? They do, and especially if it's in early spring when it hasn't warmed up yet, like here, it's not always so warm in early spring. And so they do get kind of chilly when we take all their hair off. And I'm gonna show you what they do about that sometimes when those sheep get chilly. It's very silly. So that's a little bit about the sheep that live on the farm. Okay, now I want to sing a song about sheep. I bet you all have heard this before. It's a classic, but let's all sing it together since we're talking about sheep today. Are you ready? Ba, ba, black sheep, have you any wool? Yes, sir, 3 bags full. 1 for my master, 1 for my dame, 1 for the little boy who lives down the lane. Ba, ba, black sheep, have you any wool? Yes, sir, 3 bags full. That was great. Can we do it one more time so you can sing it with me? I hope you're singing with me. Ready? Ba, ba, black sheep, have you any wool? Yes, sir, 3 bags full. 1 for my master, 1 for the dame, 1 for the little boy who lives down the lane. Ba, ba, black sheep, have you any wool? Yes, sir, 3 bags full. Good job, boys and girls. Okay, boys and girls, have you ever heard of the phrase counting sheep? Have you ever had a hard time getting to sleep and your parents said, maybe you should try to count some sheep? That's an old thing they used to do when people couldn't sleep, and they'd tell them to pretend they saw sheep jumping over a fence and to keep counting them. And the thought is, eventually you'll just get so tired of counting sheep, you'll go to sleep. Have any of you ever tried that? Maybe the next time you can't go to sleep, you can try counting sheep. Well, we're gonna count some sheep. They're really cotton balls. I put cotton balls in a jar because I don't have sheep and they wouldn't fit in a jar. But we're gonna pretend that our cotton balls are sheep because they're white and they're fluffy. And we're going to estimate How many sheep do you think are in my jar? And then we're going to count them. This is tricky because they kind of squish in there, right? But do you have an idea of how many sheep are in the jar? Get a number in your head. I'll give you a clue. It's less than 25. Did that surprise you? Did you think there might be more in there? The number is smaller than 25. All right, get that number in your head. I'll be right back to count the sheep. Okay, ready to count? Count with me. Remember your number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Uh-oh, here's our jar. 16, 17. 17 sheep. Is anyone asleep yet? All that counting sheep made me tired. Okay, if you feel like making a little craft, I've got something to show you. This is completely optional, but these are fun to make at home. You should have most of the supplies there. We make these in our classroom when we talk about the farm, and so you might like to make them at home. Let me show you what we're gonna do. Okay, you are going to need a paper plate, and I'm going to make a sheep because we were talking about sheep today. So to make a sheep, I need some cotton balls. I need some glue. Elmer's glue would work best, but I'm gonna try to do it with a glue stick since I don't have any white glue. And then some paper to cut out the face. You wanna cut out like an oval shape. Practice your cutting and your shapes. Maybe 2 ovals for ears. Some rectangles for the legs. I happen to have googly eyes at home. If you don't have any googly eyes at home, you can make your own eyes. Just cut out some white circles and just draw the black circles inside, and that'll look like eyes. So the first thing you're gonna do is cover your plate in glue. I'm probably gonna turn off the camera to do this in a minute. I'll do a little bit. And then you just wanna cover it in the cotton balls. So start sticking the cotton balls all over the plate. I'm going to turn off the camera while I do that really quick, and then I'll come back and show you the next step. I have my cotton balls on my plate, so that is my sheep's fluffy wool. I already put glue on my other pieces, so I'm going to glue my face down here. And I already put some glue on my ears, about like that. You can make your sheep your own. Okay, so those are kind of the ears. Try to get my eyes to stick on. And again, if you don't have googly eyes, just cut out a small white, 2 small white circles and use a marker to make the eyes. You might need a little more glue. And then I'm gonna put my feet, my legs on the bottom. We have a little sheep. Now, if you really want to get creative, you can try to make some of the other animals that we've talked about this week. A cow. What could you do for a cow? I bet you could just take your white plate and color maybe some black spots around it. Do a cow face, maybe some cow ears. Or you could do a chicken or a rooster. How could you turn that plate into a chicken or a rooster? You can get creative and come up with some ideas. And if you make some, send us a picture or show it to us at our Friday Zoom. We would love to see it. Bye-bye. Okay, boys and girls, the story we're going to read today is called Farmer Brown Shears His Sheep, a yarn about wool. And it's kind of a silly story, but it does tell us a little bit about the process of shearing sheep and what happens to that wool to turn it into yarn. So kind of pay attention to some of those details, and I hope you like the story. This is another one I'm going to have to read to you off of my computer because I don't have this book with me at home, but you can still see the pictures and follow along. I hope you like it. Farmer Brown Shears His Sheep, a yarn about wool. The author is Terry Sloat. What did Terry do? She wrote the words. And it's illustrated by Nadine Bernard Westcott. And what did Nadine do? She drew the pictures. Let's read Farmer Brown Shears His Sheep. Oh, it's spring. Farmer Brown was shearing his sheep, piling up a snowy heap of wool that filled his shed knee-deep. Clip, clip, buzz, buzz, he took their wool and left them fuzz. See, they're a little naked afterwards. He filled his bags up one by one with fleece, but when his work was done, clouds had covered up the sun. The sheep saw all their wool in sacks. "Ah," they cried, "we want it back." I think they're a little cold without their wool. Soon the farmer's sheep were shivering. They followed him. He was delivering all their wool to Mr. Green, who washed it out and combed it clean. So they washed and they comb. Comb, pull. He cleaned and carded all their wool. Their fleece made such a fluffy stack. "Ah," they cried, "we want it back." Cold. The sheep went running, cold and shaking, behind the farmer. He was taking all their wool to Mr. Peel, who owned the finest spinning wheel. Twist, hum, what had their fluffy fleece become? From fleece to yarn, it stretched and changed. "Ah," they cried, "our wool looks strange." Chilly sheep with goosebumps crying rode behind the farmer flying down the road to Mrs. Mueller. So wool's looking like yarn now. Who changed the yarn from white to color. Dip, dye, drip, dry, the yarn grew bright before their eyes. And while it dried upon the rack, one sheep cried, "Ah, let's take it back." So they're sneaking in to take it back. "What's this?" the farmer asked his sheep. "You're tangled up from head to feet. You're shivering cold and turning blue." So back to Farmer Brown's they flew. He found his favorite place to sit. Then Farmer Brown began to knit. Knit, purl, the farmer's fingers looped and twirled. That's how you make a sweater. Crowded on the porch together, trembling in the nippy weather, they watched him knit, and when he quit, he put a sweater on to fit each sheep, and then he buttoned it. Look at all sweaters came from their wool. The sheep grew nice and warm again in brightly colored cardigans, in patterns made of red and green and all the colors in between. Now each year, come shearing time, the sheep wait eagerly in line to feel the clip and hear the buzz, and wear bright sweaters over fuzz. And now they wear their sweaters to keep warm. And just in case you thought that sheep wearing sweaters was silly, sometimes they really do put jackets on the sheep after they've been sheared. These are the sheep at Wagner Farm. They're not wearing sweaters, but they did put some coats on them because it was kind of chilly, and they were cold without all of their fleece. Isn't that silly? There they are. Okay, the two show and tell friends that I'm going to announce today are Kellen and Kieran. Kellen and Kieran, if you're listening, you get to pick an item to present as your show and tell on Friday's Zoom. So pick one thing to show us and tell us why it is special and important to you. We can't wait to see what you pick. That's all for today. Watch Mrs. Friedman again tomorrow, and I'll see you at the live Zoom on Friday. Have a great day.